So it is right now, as we're doing the interview, 4th of July weekend. I am here with one of Beyond the Gates' hottest stars, Alex Alegria. Thank you so much for joining me. How is your holiday weekend shaping up?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brian. I'm just keeping it low key. I just moved into the city of Atlanta, so I'm taking this opportunity to explore.
Very nice. Have you run into anything that's been your favorite thing to explore while you've been in Atlanta?
Let's see. Honestly, just riding down to Midtown, hitting up the salsa spots. You guys are big on salsa here. I'm shocked because coming from Los Angeles, it's kind of a niche
Uh-huh.
thing, and to find out that there's also a group of people who love to dance salsa, it was very nice to find that out.
And we will definitely get to your roots shortly. What when did you first decide you wanted to become an actor, and like what did that journey look like for you in terms of
Man,
paving the way?
I think I've always kind of been drawn to it, and I kind of dabbled here and there in college with theater productions. But then once I graduated from college, I really wanted to attack it hardcore. So I got into it through modeling, and I was modeling in New York City for a couple of years while taking acting classes on the side. And I managed to be partake in a manager workshop uh, where I found my manager, and they've been just kind of casually submitting me here and there to random little projects. And finally, I landed Beyond the Gates, but that's just the abridged version. It was much longer than that.
So it sounds like you're an overnight success, but really there was a long journey in between
Yeah, overnight, 10-year success, sure.
over, over lots of nights. What drew you to Beyond the Gates originally?
Um, well, my manager had submitted me for this show, and I had heard about it through a lot of friends of mine who are also actors, and they were also trying to get on the show. And really, at the time, I was just drawn to it because I had never been on a soap opera, and I thought, well, my grandmother loves telenovelas,
Uh-huh.
and she's always saying how I should be on one. So I'm like, well, maybe I can get on an American soap opera and get my grandma to start watching to help her with her English, even though she's been in this country for like 20 years.
And has it helped so far?
Yeah, she's been watching it with like my aunt next to her who translates for her when she doesn't understand something.
Nice. And are there any characters you have told her to stay away from imitating and or translating?
No, just give her the full experience, I say.
That's right. There you go. Some of the looks that some of your co-stars give are enough that you don't need translation for.
Right. Yeah.
So, what drew you specifically to Tomas? Was there something about him that stood out for you, or it was just the wanting to work in soaps?
Just really wanted to work in soaps. Actually, originally I had auditioned for the role of the personal trainer. I forget his name, uh, but I didn't get it. And then, and a few weeks later, they gave me the audition for Tomas, and I really identified with Tomas a little more just because of his background. The personal trainer, it wasn't known if he was Spanish or white or black or whatever. Side note, I am a personal trainer, or I was a personal trainer and a PTA. So when I didn't get that, I was like, damn, I guess I must have not been a believable personal trainer, even though I was one at the time.
That must have been a little douse to the confidence level.
A little bit. I was like, okay, that sucked. I did not feel good. But then, and like a week, literally 2 weeks later, they sent me for an audition for Tomas, and I read the breakdown. I was like, oh, okay, I really dig this guy, and he is kind of more like I am in actual real life than the personal trainer was. So it worked out. It worked out perfect.
There you go. And also, I've been needing a personal trainer. I was going to ask you, but since now you don't do it, I'm off the hook and I can just.
But
So
you know,
thank you
it
for not
starts
being
in the
one.
kitchen. I always tell my clients that it starts in the kitchen. What you put into your body is more than half the battle, and rest.
Right. Most of my events start in the kitchen, actually.
Yeah.
So with Tomas, obviously it's a bigger role, which is great for you. You're really getting to showcase a lot of you're stoic in a way, but you're also kind and gentle, and but also a lawyer. So it's like you haven't had to go after anybody yet. Are you looking forward to that part of things, or do you like being the steadfast? character?
For now, I like being that steadfast, kind of stoic persona because that really is who I am, just calm, really mellow kind of guy. But I do like the idea of Tomas kind of stepping up now and coming into his own on the show. I'm wondering what's going to happen with, Mike, who got fired from the firm. Maybe there could be something there going on between me and Mike and Bill.
Mm, interesting. That could be a nice tease coming up. Another tease that is not is starting to become more and more obvious to viewers is that although Tomas is seeing Kat, he does have some sympathy and is drawn to Eva. What's it like playing opposite both actresses because they both present their characters very differently?
Right. I mean, as an actor, I feel like they both give me so much to work with. They are amazing actresses, great people too. But in terms of their characters, well, Kat, Tomas, I think, is kind of drawn to Kat because she represents all the things that he would want to accomplish. I think later on, Tomas is really trying right now to elevate his life and to be part of that upper echelon of society. And I think maybe he sees Kat as not so much as a way in, but as a way to kind of manifest that in his life. And obviously he's drawn to her. Maybe like I feel like he has like this kind of Aladdin Princess Jasmine kind of vibe going with that. Like he sees her as this thing to this person that he would love to be able to be with, and also because of what it represents for him in terms of achieving in his life.
Mhm.
Now, Eva, on the other hand, Eva, I think, represents who Tomas is currently or who he has been in terms of just like that down to earth, nitty gritty person who has, come up from the bottom up. And I think he sees that kind of camaraderie with Eva because she's just like, in many ways, like him. They have similar interests. He really respects her, I think, as a person and is drawn to her because of their similarities.
One of the things I really liked with Tomas, which recently aired about a week or so ago, was when Kat was really coming on to him and he backed down and backed away. That's not something you usually see with the younger set on soap operas or probably even television in general. And it was you that actually put the brake, or Tomas, who actually put the brakes on it. Was that something that you had any input on? Was it something you agreed with at the time you were filming?
Oh, you mean when Eva made the moves on me and Kat was underneath the
No,
bed?
no, no. When Kat tried to wanted to go all the way with
Oh,
Alex.
when she wanted to go all the way, and
Yeah.
yeah, no, that was already predetermined, predecided. But I really loved to discover that. At the time, I was reading it before we filmed it. And I was just like, Tomas, this is what you wanted.
Mm,
Like, what are you doing, bro? And I'm just like, okay, trying to justify, you know, his decisions here. But now that I've, played Tomas for a little bit, I see that Tomas was just scared to rush things with her
mm.
because she's a virgin, and most guys I think are scared to be anyone's first for whatever reason. I think it's some innate fear that we have, but also she's a Dupree, so it's like Tomas doesn't want to mess that up or burn bridges between him and his possible career path.
Absolutely. And especially with Crazy Town Aunt maybe coming after you. She
Right.
shot up your boss's wedding, which you were in attendance at.
Right. Yeah. Tomas has already seen what the Duprees are capable of, and I think part of that is just like a healthy respect and fear of that side of the family. So he's like treading carefully there.
Now, on the other side of the coin with Eva, like her lineage isn't exactly stable, and I'd be afraid of her mother as well.
Yeah, but I think Tomas has probably dealt with people like that coming up, and it doesn't seem to phase him.
Mm.
Leslie doesn't seem to really phase Tomas. I imagine he's dealt with women, people like that on the way up. It's just just kind of common folk drama type stuff that he's used to. I feel like.
I think, and I mentioned the word steadfast before, I think that's something you bring to Tomas is that he's very reliable and very, he could be counted on, obviously, but he doesn't react when Kat starts acting a certain way or Eva starts acting a certain way. He tries to diffuse the situation. Is
Right.
that a conscious choice that you make instead of like jumping into the drama of it all?
I think the in the beginning the script kind of lends itself to play Tomas that way, but also personally, I think it's also a personal choice. that I've just decided to be this kind of person and kind of use that to kind of showcase Tomas and what how he can his temperament, I guess. Kind of, I'm combining Tomas's temperament with mine more or less, and that's usually how my MO when I'm dealing with stressful situations is to just diffuse it because if you just get overly excited, it just sometimes makes things worse.
Yeah. One of the other things that I liked, and it ended up being kind of a story point for the character, was when you were discussing tattoos that you have gotten.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes on soaps, they'll airbrush tattoos and you never see them. So it was nice that they actually brought that to the attention of the viewers. Did any of your personal tattoos have the same meaning as Tomas's, or were they kind of made up for the story?
Well, the whole bit about the Navy was made up for the story, but it was true in that I think Tomas said something like the tattoos represented um, him wanting to become better than what he was, something more ethereal, more magical of a being of a representation that he is in actual life. So my tattoos really do, I think, in my opinion, my tattoos represent because I've got like this magical octopus and this
Right.
Tibetan skull here. So a lot of my tattoos represent more like what happens after we die and the existentialism of like how um, fragile this life is. Um, so to me, there was some truth in that the tattoos represented more than who Tomas was and who he strives to be.
And with a show that's very big on representation, uh, would you welcome your character getting a family brought to town?
I would love that if we got to see Tomas's mom and her dad. He has talked about his father a few times on the show. So I would love to see if they would bring in some family members for Tomas.
And that's also something important in your own life. You're very proud of your Latino roots. What does that look like for you in your acting career and also your modeling career? Did you face any sort of blowback because of it, or were you only looking for certain roles that weren't stereotypical of Latino characters?
Right. One thing, the issue with like filming in Hollywood and things like that is like they teach you to literally play to your stereotype, right? So I really had no gripe with that. I think with the modeling, it was more of a hurdle just because they're looking for more of a commercial look, and Latino is not super commercial; it's more niche, really. So I did struggle a bit with that in the modeling industry, but with acting, it's been great because I've been able to lean into it and just play to my stereotype.
Yeah, you're also very big into mariachi. And we were just talking about salsa right before the interview started. Do you find that that's a way to express yourself with dancing and with music?
Definitely. Well, mariachi and salsa are two different things, but I got into the mariachi scene being in Los Angeles, being surrounded by Mexicans.
Mhm.
And one of my good friends, she's actually a mariachi singer. And what I love about the mariachi bands is that they sing all these beautiful ballads that are really timeless songs. And the same thing with salsa. Salsa has some beautiful songs that have become timeless, really. And all that for salsa, at least personally, I don't know the history of mariachi, but I know the history of salsa. When back in the 60s and 70s, maybe even as early as the 50s, when all the Afro Latino music was coming over to the States, it kind of combined into this what was happening in the States at that time, which was jazz, and it had this jazz Afro fusion that created salsa as we know it today.
Mhm. Now, you said you moved to Atlanta and that you've been trying to immerse yourself in the culture down there. What has that looked like for you?
Really just going out to the socials, we call them the social dance settings, going to the classes, meeting people in these environments. There's a lot of opportunities, I think, to just go out and network with people too who are also in the industry, who are also artists. Just recently, I went to the Atlanta Film Festival and got to network with a lot of great upcoming artists from there.
That's awesome. Back to the show, like where would you like to see Tomas separate from the ladies? What would you like to see him kind of dip his toes into, or is there anything you can tease that's coming up without obviously getting yourself? Run over by a
Right.
motorcycle by Leslie.
Let's see. Well, right now, yeah, there's Tomas for now. It seems like he is they're exploring his relationship with Kat and with Eva. Now that Kat has kind of dominated Tomas's attention, and Eva's stepped out of the possibility zone into the friend zone. I'd like to see them explore that dynamic, but also I would really love to see Tomas more in a paralegal legal setting to see what he's like in there, especially now that it seems like he's not really vibing with some of Bill's little things that he's trying to get Tomas to do, like spy on the girls,
Right.
things like that. Tomas doesn't seem comfortable with. So I'd love to see Tomas step out into his own and break away from that.
Were you surprised when you read the script and Bill kind of snapped at him to not just barge into the office like that? That was a pretty drastic change in character.
Yeah, yeah, especially because Tomas had never experienced that. So I think part of Tomas was like shocked, but also like, okay, how do I diffuse this situation? Or
Right.
is he being for real? Like, what's going on right now?
Yeah, that was a little. I mean, obviously there were reasons behind Bill saying it. He didn't want to get caught, obviously, but it was a little. It was jarring. I have to be honest.
It was, and that's another. Maybe I would love to see Bill let Tomas in on some of that dark stuff that he's been dealing with for all these years. Maybe to see if Tomas can be trusted. Maybe to see if Tomas can help him in some way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
I would like to see that.
Is there anybody that you haven't worked with a lot that you would love to share more scenes with?
Let's see. I really outside of Kat, Eva, everyone at the Bill Hamilton Law Office. I haven't really, Trisha, I've worked with, Leslie. I haven't really worked with anyone else. Everyone's amazing on the show. But if I had to pick one person that I would like to be in a scene with, maybe Jacob. I really like that whole side of the story because it feels more procedural.
Hmm.
And I would like to see Tomas maybe get involved in that side and that aspect to see how that would play out.
Well, now that Derek and Ashley aren't going to be double dating with the with the couple who you just
Right.
mentioned, maybe you and Kat could jump in on that action since they're cousins.
That'd be pretty awesome. I would love to see that.
Get some pointers. Actually, it would probably be a unique situation to see. Well, not unique, but have the cop and the lawyer together and see where that relationship could be built as like a brotherly type bond, but then also potentially have conflict around it because you might be defending somebody. I mean, could you imagine if you were defending Leslie? I mean,
Oh my God. Yeah. Wow.
well, you could kiss Kat goodbye, I guess, if you did that. That
Yeah.
certainly wouldn't stand.
Tomas would have to find one hell of a justification to get away with that.
Or a very quick getaway plan.
Yeah.
What's it like being recognized for the role now that you've been airing now for the better half of 6 to 8 months now?
It's a little surreal, like it really hasn't hit me yet because I still haven't explored much of the city. And when I'm mostly just here studying the scripts, any little free time I have, I'm going to the gym or going to a salsa class. So when I do step outside and someone recognizes me, I think I have to do like a double take. And they'll say like my name, Tomas, and I'll just be like, oh, that's me. Oh, you like how do you recognize me? The
Uh-huh.
craziest place someone recognized me, I think, I'm big into cosplay,
Uh-huh.
like anime conventions. So I went to an anime convention in a full cosplay outfit. I went as Richter from Castlevania. I don't know if you know what that is. But I'm decked out in this costume and I'm crossing the street to go to the convention, and it's like Midtown Atlanta, bumper to bumper traffic. We're at a red light, and I'm just crossing the street, and then somebody yells, "Hey, Tomas, I love you on the show!" And I'm like, "How did you recognize me?" And I'm like in another costume,
Yeah.
and you recognize me walking across the street. It wasn't even the
Wow.
car next to me; it was like three cars back.
Now, soap fans are very loyal. I'm sure you have been aware
I see that.
that. Yeah. How do you handle some if there are any negative comments either towards the show or to the specific actors or characters, but also their devout loyalty to the show? I mean, people were even upset that the show was in reruns this week.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I think, like you said, soap fans are diehard fans and they're really loyal. And sometimes that loyalty can be a double-edged sword. Like, for example, what happened with who played the actor who played Ted.
Mm,
People were really upset when that switch happened,
mm,
and I did see some negative kind of feedback towards the new actor.
mm.
That I didn't really like, but again, it
Yeah,
came from a place of the fans being loyal to the original actor of Ted, of course.
yeah. Daytime
It's
fans,
all well placed, I think,
of
and they don't
course.
mean anything
Yeah,
truly bad by it.
absolutely. So, what do you have going on this weekend? Are you, besides exploring the city, any plans for barbecues with some friends, or are you making new friends down in Atlanta now that you've moved in?
A lot of my friends are from either the social dance scene or some of the cast that we kind of get together and we hang out sometimes. So that's pretty much it. That's my social circle. Very small at right now, but
And then finally, if you could tease one thing coming up for Tomas again that would not get you in trouble, what would it be to entice viewers to keep tuning into his journey?
well, something pretty funny happens that lands Tomas in the hospital, and then so I remember when I read that, I was just like, no, why, Tomas? Why did this happen to you, bro? So I think the fans are gonna find that pretty exciting as well, to say
Well,
the
that'll
least.
be fun to share scenes with Shanice, the
Yeah.
actress.
Oh,
She's
this
fun.
will be my first time with Shanice, and she's so much fun to be with. She's just like this bubbly personality, and between takes, she's just like funny. So
Just make sure that wig doesn't get plopped on Leslie's head and she sneaks in to do something to your IV.
oh my God, no. Well, they've already changed the security measures at the
Oh,
hospital.
good. You lucked out then.
So hopefully that won't happen.
Alex, it was so great talking to you. I hope this is one of many conversations. You are really such a talented young man, and it's so great to see you shine on Beyond the Gates.
Thank you so much, Brian. A pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you so much.